It looks like Amazon Prime is really trying to take over the boxing game in the future. We're going to talk about how Bob Arum, Top Rank Promotions, also has a deal in place with Amazon Prime now. We're going to talk about potentially the big fights that can take place between the PBC and Top Rank on Amazon Prime. I'm going to let y'all hear straight from Bob Arum himself. But before we do that, make sure that you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed, and let's talk. Amazon Prime looking to kick in the dough on the boxing business. Something new that the boxing fans in the world of boxing have been needing for a while now. I told people in a video that I did not too long ago why Showtime had to get out of the business of boxing. Because people don't watch cable TV like that no more. And if you're not watching cable TV, you sure are not paying for these high-ass subscription-based channels like HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, Stars, and all of that, right? People are watching TV through Fire Sticks, through IPTV services, and through apps like Prime Video, ESPN Plus, and so on and so on. So if you put in fight events on Showtime and people don't pay for a Showtime subscription and people just watching these fights on a Fire Stick for free, well, Showtime is not getting credit for that viewership. And we all know how people watching pay-per-view, they stealing it. And yes, Showtime did have the Showtime app. But people don't know about the Showtime app for boxing and sports. They know about the Showtime app for certain movies and documentaries and things like that because that's pretty much how they promoted the Showtime app, not through the sports programming. Things have changed in the world and things have changed in the way that people view programming now. So yeah, the old model that Showtime was doing, it just wasn't working for them. Just like it wasn't working for HBO. They seen things change a long time ago and they got out of the game 5 years before Showtime did. Now Showtime had longevity in the game and they was able to stay a little bit longer than HBO did. And I don't mean like overall years, I just mean when HBO left the game in like 2018, Showtime was able to stay 5 years longer because they had a better roster. That's what that was all about. Showtime had groomed stars through the PBC like Errol Spence, Gervonta Davis, Deontay Wilder, and so on and so on. So they had built a roster of fighters. Al Heyman was very smart with that. So, you know, they had some superstars and they was able to basically go on in the game longer than HBO. When HBO, they tried to go a different route. They tried to build those Eastern European fighters into superstars in America, and that shit ain't work. It didn't turn out like they thought it was going to turn out. So they failed miserably. Now, with all that being said, everybody was excited when they heard PBC had struck a deal with Amazon Prime. It was a new light that was shined on boxing. Most people have Amazon Prime. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about millions and millions of people have Amazon Prime. And with that being said, boxing fans was excited because we like now all we got to do is have a subscription to Amazon Prime and we're going to get all of the boxing that we need and some with this deal with the PBC and Amazon Prime. Now, we still don't know what this deal entails. All we know is that when the news came out, PBC is only going to have 13 shows per year. Now, for how long that's going to last, I don't know. But when I did the math and I'm looking at the situation, I'm like 13 shows is pretty much one boxing event a month. And I said the roster that PBC has, if this is what they're going to do, unless they get with another programming like an NBC, a Peacock, or something else, it's going to be the same old shit that we've been seeing. The fighters that they should be building into potential superstars are going to be sitting on the shelf. And the fighters that we know that's actually stars, they only going to be fighting once a year. Now, A lot of people, they're pro PBC. Then you got people that's pro Top Rank. Then you got people that's pro DAZN. Then you have people that hate Top Rank. You got people that hate PBC. You got people that hate DAZN, right? It's kind of like gang warfare in this boxing shit. A whole bunch of goofy, silly stuff going on. And I'm not a part of that. I'm a part of whoever is giving me the best fight at that point in time. That's who I'm rocking with. But I've been vocal, and I let everybody know I don't like how the PBC got a lot of these fighters just sitting on the shelf, ruining their careers. And then you got the other fighters, they only fighting once a year. That's a career killer. I don't like it. You're not able to even reach your highest potential doing that in the boxing game. So with me, it's all about how the PBC goes about the game on Amazon Prime. If it's the same thing that they was doing on Showtime, I don't know. I ain't really feeling it because, yes, they've given us a lot of great fights, but also you got the other side of the spectrum. You got great fighters that's sitting on the shelf, and you got other great fighters that's only fighting once a year. So I'm not with that model. So they're going to have to change things. And in order to do that, PBC is going to have to get with a few more entities besides Amazon Prime. Yeah, they can have their biggest programs on Amazon Prime. They're going to have other programming that they're in works with so they can get all these fighters substantial amount of fights in instead of just sitting them on the shelf. But we will see. Now, like I said in the title of the video and like I said in the introduction, Amazon Prime is not only in business with the PBC, they're also in business with Top Rank Boxing. I'm going to let y'all hear what Bob Arum had to say about the business dealings that they have with Amazon Prime. I'm also going to let y'all hear what he has to say about the PBC and everybody coming together and working together to make the biggest and best fights. Y'all listen to what Bob Arum had to say, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give y'all my thoughts and my feelings on this whole situation.
Well, first of all, the Amazon Prime people are first rate. We've had experience for now a number of years dealing with them in Japan on various fights and so forth. They're really are into it in Japan. We've just renewed our Japanese deal with Amazon Prime. They're a great organization, and hopefully they'll be able to replicate what they've done in Japan in the United States. The only thing I would hope is that they don't overload it with pay-per-view, that they do more free fights on the platform, because if Al disproportionately uses them to do pay-per-view, that's a disaster for the sport. I've always believed that the pay-per-view fights should be few and far between, and that most of the fights, or as many as possible, should be free to the consumer. Because in all the other major sports, that's the case. The best fights are free. And if boxing is going to take all of its fights of any kind of category and put it on pay-per-view, it's going to be the death knell for the sport of boxing.
Mm-hmm. And can we expect, I know you've been working with PBC more and more in recent years, can we expect more collaboration with you guys with this new Amazon deal?
Well, again, if a promotion company isn't willing to deal with another promotion company, they're insane, because it's not to keep everything to yourselves, but to reach the best possible audience and do the best fights for yourself and the sport. We have no problem dealing with Oscar's company, Golden Boy, which programs for DAZN. We've done a lot of fights with even Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, which is another DAZN affiliate. We've done some fights with Al Heyman. We should do more.
So now that you've heard from Bob Arum, we now know that Bob actually already has a deal in place with Amazon Prime, and that's with his dealings with Japan. We know that Bob, he got a lot of Japanese fighters. The biggest one he has is Inoue, who just fought the other day. You know, yesterday morning we saw him fight, put on another spectacular performance, and become undisputed at 122. So when I heard this being said, I said, oh, he already has dealings with Amazon Prime. So if Shakur decides to sign back with Bob Arum, we shouldn't have no problem getting a fight between Tank Davis and Shakur, because they could have that mega fight on Amazon Prime. They both are already in business with Amazon Prime. So it shouldn't be no problem for us getting these fights. Now, with everything else that Bob Arum had to say on, you know, the dealings with the PBC and the potential business that the PBC is going to have with Amazon Prime and how that should work out, I pretty much agree with everything that Bob Arum said, right? I don't like every time you have a big fight, you put it on pay-per-view, because boxing is not at that level to where they even know about a lot of these fighters. And these promoters are not even building these fighters into stars. So you can't put them on pay-per-view. Just because they put a fighter on pay-per-view don't mean they're a pay-per-view star. Let me say that to y'all again, for those who don't realize this. Just because you put a fighter on pay-per-view, it don't mean that you're a pay-per-view star. Devin Haney was just on pay-per-view. Does that mean he's a pay-per-view star? No. David Benavidez was on pay-per-view. Does that mean he's a pay-per-view star? No. Now, does it mean that they should be a pay-per-view star if they promoted them and build them into stars? Yes, but these promoters haven't done that. And to keep it a buck, it's only one real pay-per-view star that we know that's going to do a whole lot of pay-per-views in boxing every time he fight, and that's Canelo Alvarez. And then you got Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. They did the numbers they did, but they only did it once. So you really don't have more than one pay-per-view star in boxing to keep it all the way 1,000. And other than that, you got one other fighter that's doing good pay-per-view numbers every time he do a pay-per-view, and that's Errol Spence. And that's not because these fighters don't have star potential. It's because these promoters are not building these fighters into stars like that. Like Don King did back in the day. Like Bob Arum was doing back in the day. They're not putting the money into promotions. They just not doing it. In order to do that, you got to give these casuals that's not going to pay to see nobody fight, you got to get them to know these fighters by putting on different programming and letting these people know these fighters personally, showing it for free on Amazon Prime, right? Putting on these fights on Amazon Prime to where they can watch it for free, just as long as they have a subscription, and then they'll get to know these fighters and you can build them up into superstars. Then you can put them on pay-per-view. All in all, I agree with Bob Arum had to say about everything, but let's see if Bob Arum sticks to what he had to say. I like what they're doing on Top Rank. They're pretty much giving us all the fights for free. All you got to do is have a subscription to the ESPN Plus, and you don't got to pay nothing but like $5 a month for that. So I'm feeling that. But let's see if these promoters are going to live up to what they've been talking about. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section. Drop a comment. Make sure that you hit my like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed. And y'all already know how I do. Diego talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.